The divorce is finalized, gentlemen, and this drive contains everything the SEC needs to know.
I watched her walk into that charity gala like she owned the place. Designer dress, diamond necklace, arm wrapped around my husband. His family stood beside them, smiling like she was already the new wife. They had no idea the poor charity case they'd mocked for years was about to destroy everything. If you've ever been treated like you're worthless by people who thought they were better than you, stay with me. This is the story of how I made them all bow down. Hit subscribe because this revenge is going to be epic. Let me take you back to where it all began. My name is Elena, and 12 years ago I made what everyone called the biggest mistake of my life. I fell in love with Christopher Hart. Now, if you don't know the Hart name, let me paint you a picture. The Harts weren't just wealthy, they were dynasty wealthy. Old money, shipping empire. The kind of family that had buildings named after them and politicians on speed dial. Christopher's mother, Constance, ran the family with an iron fist wrapped in Chanel. His older brother Benjamin was the CEO of Hart Industries, married to Sophia, a woman who measured her worth in designer labels and social connections. Then there was Caroline, the youngest, a spoiled 28-year-old with 2 million social media followers who made a career out of destroying people online. I was 24 when I met Christopher at a corporate event. I was a junior analyst, wearing a borrowed dress, trying to network my way into better opportunities. He was charming, funny, and somehow different from the other rich men in that room. We talked for hours. He called me the next day. 3 months later, he proposed I actually thought it was a fairy tale. I was so incredibly wrong. The moment Christopher told his family he was marrying me, everything changed. I'll never forget the first time I met Constance. She looked me up and down like I was something stuck to her shoe and said, "You're not our kind, dear." No smile, no warmth, just cold, brutal honesty. Benjamin barely acknowledged my existence. Sophia laughed when she heard I worked in finance like it was the funniest joke she'd ever heard. And Caroline? She started a blog post that week titled "Social Climbers a Guide" with a photo that looked suspiciously like me from behind. They tried to pay me off. $1 million to walk away from Christopher. I refused because back then, I actually loved him. I thought love would be enough. That decision cost me 12 years of pure torture. Every Sunday dinner at the Hart Mansion was designed to break me. Constance would forget to set a place for me, then act surprised when I arrived. Sophia would bring me bags of her old clothes as gifts, saying things like, "I thought you could use these since you can't afford new ones." Caroline would post Instagram stories with everyone at family events, carefully cropping me out or making sure I was blurry in the background. Benjamin called me the help as a joke, and everyone would laugh except me. Christopher never defended me. Not once. He'd tell me I was being too sensitive, that his family was just joking, that I needed to try harder to fit in. They bought us a modest house in a decent neighborhood while Benjamin got a mansion with 12 bedrooms. I was excluded from every business discussion, every family decision, every holiday photo. I was invisible. A ghost in my own marriage. But here's what none of them knew. My father, who raised me alone after my mother died, was a quiet genius. He worked as an accountant his whole life, lived simply, and invested brilliantly. When he passed away just before I met Christopher, he left me $2 million. Everyone assumed I was broke, so I never corrected them. Instead, I invested every single penny under my maiden name, Elena Morrison. I studied the market obsessively, tech startups, real estate, pharmaceutical stocks. I made risky moves that paid off. I reinvested everything. Over 12 years, I turned that $2 million into $340 million. I wore cheap clothes from discount stores. I drove a 15-year-old car, I clipped coupons and acted grateful when Sophia gave me her cast-offs. The whole time, I was building an empire, and nobody had a clue. Morrison Capital Investments became one of the most successful private investment firms in the state, and not a single Hart knew that Elena Morrison and Elena Hart were the same person. 3 months ago, everything came to a head. I found the texts on Christopher's phone. He'd gotten careless, leaving it on the bathroom counter while he showered. The messages were from Amanda Monroe. Your family loves me. I'm everything she's not. Christopher's reply made my blood run cold. They wish I'd married you instead. Amanda Monroe, Constance's goddaughter, a woman they'd known since she was a child. Wealthy, connected, Yale-educated, with the right last name and the right pedigree. They'd been having an affair for 8 months, and his entire family knew about it. They were encouraging it. There were group chats where they discussed how to push me out, how to make the divorce easy, how Amanda was so much better suited for the Hart family. I could have confronted Christopher right then. I could have screamed, cried, thrown things. Instead, I put his phone back exactly where I found it, finished making breakfast, and kissed him goodbye like nothing had happened. Then I went to my office and started planning. Because I'd learned something important over 12 years of being underestimated. Silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. I discovered that the Preston Medical Foundation's annual gala was coming up. The foundation was seeking a major investor for a new children's hospital wing, $50 million needed. I reached out to Dr. Patricia Hughes, the foundation director, under my Morrison Capital name. My team spent 6 weeks reviewing their proposal, asking questions, doing due diligence. Dr. Hughes had no idea Elena Morrison was connected to the Hart family in any way. I also started digging into Hart Industries. What I found was shocking. Benjamin had been hiding massive debts. $200 million in the red, covered up with creative accounting and lies to investors. The company was months away from collapse. I quietly bought up their debt through shell companies. By the time the gala rolled around, I owned 60% of Hart Industries, and nobody in that family had any idea. The night of the gala, I arrived at the Harbor Grand Hotel alone. The ballroom was magnificent with crystal chandeliers, champagne fountains, and an orchestra playing softly in the corner. I wore a simple navy dress I'd bought on sale 3 years ago and a pair of pearl earrings my father gave me. I looked exactly like what the Harts thought I was. Poor, plain, pathetic. The Hart family was already there, of course. Constance in cream Chanel, dripping in diamonds that could fund a small country. Sophia sparkled in a silver gown that probably cost more than most people's cars. Benjamin looked powerful in his custom tuxedo. Caroline was filming everything for her social media, narrating to her millions of followers. They saw me walk in, and I heard Caroline's voice carry across the room. Oh God, she actually came. I smiled and found a spot near the wall, watching. Christopher had arrived earlier without telling me. He was standing near the entrance, checking his watch, waiting. That's when she made her entrance. Amanda Monroe swept into that ballroom like a Hollywood starlet. Her gold-beaded gown caught every light, her diamond necklace was blinding, and her confidence was magnetic. Every head turned. Christopher's face lit up in a way I hadn't seen in years. He walked right to her, and in front of 300 people he kissed her cheek. The Hart family rushed over like she was royalty. Constance hugged Amanda, gushing about how perfect she looked. Sophia was practically squealing over her dress. Benjamin shook her hand with actual respect in his eyes. Caroline was taking selfies with her, already posting them with captions about girl crushes and future family. I stood there alone by the wall. Not a single person came to greet me. I might as well have been furniture. After about 20 minutes of watching them parade Amanda around the room, Constance and Sophia approached me. Constance looked at me with those cold eyes and said, "Elena, what are you doing here?" I replied simply, "It's a charity gala. I bought a ticket." Sophia actually laughed out loud. "With what money? Did Christopher give you an allowance?" Constance studied my dress with visible disgust. "That dress is from 3 seasons ago, poor thing." Caroline posted on Instagram right in front of me, not even hiding her phone screen. The caption read, "When you can't afford a stylist," with a grimacing emoji. I kept my voice steady. "I'm comfortable, thank you." Constance smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Comfortable? How very middle class." They walked away, and I watched Amanda work the room with Christopher by her side. She was brilliant, I had to admit. She knew exactly what to say to every important person there. The Hart family kept introducing her as Dear Amanda and talking about her Yale degree, her consulting firm, her old money lineage. Caroline was filming it all, posting stories with hearts and wedding ring emojis. Then Amanda decided to come talk to me. She walked over with Sophia and Caroline flanking her like bodyguards. "Elena, right? Christopher's told me so much about you." Sophia giggled. Amanda touched my shoulder in a gesture that looked sympathetic but felt condescending. "Must be hard watching from the sidelines, but don't worry, we'll make sure you're taken care of in the divorce." Caroline had her phone up, filming my reaction, waiting for me to break down. I looked Amanda straight in the eye and said calmly, "That's very thoughtful, Amanda." Her smile faltered for just a second. She'd expected tears or anger. My composure confused her. About an hour into the event, Constance pulled me into a private hallway. Benjamin, Sophia, and Caroline followed like a pack of wolves. Constance's voice was sharp. "We need to talk about your future." Benjamin crossed his arms. "This marriage is over. Everyone can see it." Sophia added, "Amanda makes Christopher happy. You just exist." Caroline was scrolling through her phone. "You're a meme waiting to happen, honestly." Then Constance reached into her designer purse and pulled out papers, legal documents. "Divorce papers. We're offering you $3 million to sign tonight." Benjamin leaned in. "That's generous considering you brought nothing to this marriage." Sophia nodded enthusiastically. "Take it before we change our minds." I looked down at those papers and something inside me smiled. I asked quietly, "What if I say no?" Constance's eyes went ice cold. "Then we make your life hell, more than it already is." Benjamin stepped closer, trying to intimidate me. "We'll drag you through court for years, destroy your reputation." Caroline looked up from her phone. "I'll make sure you're unemployable. I have 2 million followers who'll do whatever I say." I folded the papers carefully and slipped them into my clutch. "I'll think about it." Constance grabbed my wrist, her nails digging in. "You have until the end of tonight." We returned to the ballroom just as dinner was being announced. Amanda had somehow managed to get herself seated at the head table with Christopher, the Hart family, and the foundation's board of directors. I was placed at a table near the back with other spouses nobody cared about. The disrespect was intentional and public. During dinner, Dr. Patricia Hughes took the stage and gave an emotional presentation about the Preston Medical Foundation's work. She showed videos of sick children, explained the desperate need for a new hospital wing, and revealed that they needed $50 million to make it happen. The room was moved. People were wiping their eyes. That's when Christopher stood up. The Hart family looked so proud. He took the microphone and thanked Dr. Hughes for her dedication. "My family has always believed in giving back to the community," he said, his voice full of false humility. Benjamin stood beside him, nodding like this was their moment. Christopher continued, "Tonight, Hart Industries is proud to pledge $500,000 to this incredible cause." The room applauded politely, but I could see Dr. Hughes's face. She was disappointed. 500,000 wasn't even close to what they needed. But Christopher wasn't done. "However, the real star tonight is Amanda Monroe." Amanda stood up, her hand over her heart in fake surprise. "Amanda brought this opportunity to our attention. She's shown our family what true compassion looks like." Constance was beaming. Amanda took the microphone, and her voice dripped with false modesty. "Thank you, Christopher, and thank you to the Hart family for welcoming me into your lives." Then she looked directly at me. "Some people marry for money. I believe in earning respect." The Hart family applauded like she'd just solved world hunger. Sophia shouted, "We love you, Amanda." Caroline was live streaming the entire thing to her millions of followers. Amanda presented an oversized novelty check while photographers snapped pictures. Dr. Hughes thanked them graciously, but I could see the disappointment in her eyes. $500,000 wouldn't save those children. I stood up from my table at the back. The room didn't notice at first. I started walking toward the stage, my heels clicking on the marble floor. Caroline saw me first. I heard her panicked whisper to Sophia, "Oh no, she's going to make a scene." Constance hissed something to Benjamin, who started moving to intercept me, but then Dr. Hughes saw me. Her entire face changed. "Miss Morrison?" The room went quiet. People turned to look. Christopher's face was confused. Morrison? I reached the stage and smiled at Dr. Hughes. I apologize for the interruption. Amanda stepped forward, trying to maintain control. Excuse me, we're in the middle of… Dr. Hughes held up her hand. Amanda, please. Ms. Morrison, we've been hoping to hear from you tonight. I addressed the room, my voice steady and clear. My name is Elena Morrison. I'm the founder and CEO of Morrison Capital Investments. I pulled out my business card and handed it to Dr. Hughes. The room erupted in whispers. Benjamin had his phone out, frantically searching. I heard Sophia gasp, Morrison Capital, that's huge. Caroline's phone was shaking as she filmed, realizing something big was happening. Christopher's voice was barely a whisper. Elena, what? Constance's face was pale. This is absurd. She's lying. I continued, ignoring them. Morrison Capital has been reviewing the Preston Foundation's proposal for 6 weeks. Your mission aligns perfectly with our values. Dr. Hughes was nodding, her eyes starting to water. We'd like to fund the entire hospital expansion $50 million over 5 years. No naming rights required, no conditions attached. I pulled out a folder from my clutch and handed it to Dr. Hughes. The room exploded. People were standing, trying to see, talking over each other. Benjamin was staring at his phone screen like it was showing him a ghost. She's worth $340 million, he said, his voice hollow. Sophia grabbed his phone. That can't be right. Caroline had stopped filming. Her mouth was hanging open. Christopher pushed through the crowd to the stage. Elena, I don't understand. Amanda grabbed his arm possessively. This is some kind of trick. I looked at Dr. Hughes, maintaining my focus on what mattered. If you accept, my team can begin work Monday morning. Dr. Hughes was crying now. Ms. Morrison, this is beyond anything we hoped for. Yes, we accept with our deepest gratitude. The room erupted in genuine applause this time, real appreciation. But the Hart family was frozen in shock. Constance stormed toward the stage, her composure finally cracking. Who do you think you are? I turned to face her, and for the first time in 12 years, I didn't lower my eyes. I'm Elena Morrison, but you know me as Elena Hart, your son's wife. Constance's face went through several emotions at once. Confusion, realization, horror. Hart? You're Christopher's wife? I smiled. For now, I believe you gave me divorce papers earlier? I pulled them from my purse and held them up, offering me $3 million for a clean exit. Benjamin finally understood what was happening. Oh God. I looked at each of them. I've been building Morrison Capital for 12 years. While you called me worthless, while you treated me like garbage, while you gave away my husband to your goddaughter, I was becoming more successful than your entire family combined. Sophia's voice was shaking. But you wore cheap clothes. You drove that terrible car. I nodded. I chose to. I didn't need your approval or your money. I never did. I turned to Amanda, who looked like she might be sick. You said some people marry for money. I married for love. You're the one using Christopher to climb the social ladder. Amanda's face turned red. That's not true. I pulled out my phone. I have the texts. All of them. Should I read them out loud? I started reading. Amanda to Christopher. Once we're married, I'll have access to the Hart money. Christopher to Amanda. My family loves you. They'll support the divorce. Constance to Amanda. Get rid of her by Christmas. I'll make sure the prenup means nothing. The silence in that room was deafening. Caroline's followers were watching this entire thing live. I continued. There's more. Business emails. I turned to Benjamin. Did you know Amanda was stealing Hart Industries' client lists and selling them to your competitors? Benjamin's face went white. What are you talking about? I held up a USB drive. It's all here. Communications, bank transfers, everything. I've already sent copies to the SEC. Benjamin lunged for the drive, but security stepped between us. Christopher finally found his voice. Elena, please, we can talk about this privately. I looked at the man I'd loved for 12 years. Talk? Like how you talked to Amanda about our marriage being a mistake. Like how you laughed when your mother called me a charity case. Constance tried to regain control. "We gave you a life, a home, a family." I cut her off. "You gave me nothing. I built everything myself while you tried to destroy me." I turned to address the entire room, my voice carrying to every corner. "The Hart family is broke, by the way." Benjamin shouted, "Shut your mouth." But I continued, "Hart Industries is $200 million in debt. They've been covering it up with fraudulent accounting for 2 years. I know because I bought their debt last month. I own 60% of Hart Industries now." The room erupted. Benjamin collapsed into a chair. Constance looked like she might faint. Sophia was crying. Caroline's phone had slipped from her hand. I picked up the divorce papers and signed them right there on stage. "I'll take these, Constance, but not for $3 million. Christopher, you'll be hearing from my lawyers on Monday. I'm taking half of everything, including your shares in Hart Industries, which means I'll control 80% of your family's company." I looked at Benjamin. "You work for me now. All of you do." Security had to escort the Hart family out. They were arguing with each other, voices rising, blame being thrown in every direction. Caroline was crying, her phone dead, her live stream ended at the worst possible moment. Sophia was screaming at Benjamin for hiding the company's debt. Constance couldn't even look at me. She'd lost everything, her control, her empire, her dignity. Christopher tried one more time as security led him away. "Elena, I loved you once." I met his eyes. "And I loved you. But you chose them over me. You let them torture me for 12 years. Now you have nothing, and they have nothing, and I have everything." Amanda was being questioned by Foundation security about the fraud allegations. Her perfect night had turned into a nightmare. Dr. Hughes approached me, tears streaming down her face, thanking me over and over. We made arrangements for a Monday meeting. People wanted to talk to me, congratulate me, take photos. I was polite, but brief. I'd said everything I needed to say. 1 week later, I sat in the Hart Industries boardroom. Benjamin, Constance, Sophia, Caroline, and Christopher sat around the table. They looked defeated, broken. I announced the restructuring. Benjamin was no longer CEO. I was bringing in my own management team. Constance interrupted, her voice desperate. "You can't do this to our family." I leaned forward. "Your family did this to yourselves. 12 years of cruelty, 12 years of treating me like I was nothing. But I'm not heartless. I'm offering you all positions in the company." Benjamin's voice was bitter. "What kind of positions?" I smiled. "Entry level, with salaries to match. You'll work your way up from the bottom, like I did. You'll learn what it means to earn respect instead of inheriting it." Sophia gasped. "This is humiliating." I stood up. "No. Humiliation is being called worthless for 12 years. This is called consequences." Christopher asked quietly, "What about us, our marriage?" I looked at him without emotion. "There is no us. The divorce is final. You'll get exactly what's fair, which honestly isn't much after what you've done." As I walked to the door, Constance spoke one last time. "We underestimated you." I turned back. "Yes, you did. And that was your biggest mistake. You see, while you were busy making me feel small, I was building something bigger than you could imagine. While you were laughing at my cheap clothes, I was making investments that tripled your family's net worth. While you were planning my exit, I was buying your company out from under you. You taught me an important lesson, though. You taught me that the best revenge isn't anger or tears, it's success. It's being so undeniable that the people who tried to destroy you have no choice but to bow down." 6 months have passed since that night. Morrison Capital has grown to $500 million. The Children's Hospital wing is under construction, and it's being named after my father, the man who taught me that quiet dignity and smart choices matter more than loud wealth. The Hart family is still working their way up in the company. Benjamin actually apologized to me last month. I think he finally understands what I went through. Christopher married Amanda 3 months ago. I heard they're already having problems. Turns out, when you build a relationship on lies and betrayal, it doesn't last. Caroline lost half her followers when the truth about her family came out. She's trying to rebrand herself as an authenticity influencer, which is ironic. Sophia is working in human resources now, and I've heard she's actually good at it. Maybe having to work for a living taught her empathy. Constance retired to her estate and rarely comes out. I think the shame was too much for her. As for me, I'm finally free. I wake up every morning in a beautiful penthouse I bought with my own money. I run a company I built from nothing. I'm funding projects that actually save lives. And most importantly, I'm surrounded by people who value me for who I am, not what family I married into. Never let anyone make you feel small. Build your empire in silence and let your success make the noise. If this story inspired you, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories about people who refuse to stay down. Comment below. What would you have done to the Hart family? Thanks for watching, and remember, the person they overlooked today might be signing their paychecks tomorrow.